Most people assume one thing about Australia, that everywhere worth living is already too expensive, that if a place is beautiful, quiet, or livable, someone else has already claimed it. But that isn't entirely true. Across Australia, there are towns quietly doing something unusual, something you won't see advertised on billboards or property websites. They are offering land. They are offering money. They are offering support, not because they're desperate, but because they're trying to survive. These are towns losing population, losing young families, losing workers, and instead of fading away, they've decided to fight back. Some offer land for little to nothing if you build. Some offer relocation bonuses. Some help with housing, rates, or business support, and almost nobody is talking about them. This video isn't about scams or get-rich-quick promises. It's about real places with real incentives, quietly trying to attract new life. Places where councils would rather see lights on in houses than empty streets and closed schools. And by the end of this video, you'll realize something important. Australia doesn't just have an affordability problem, it has a distribution problem. Let's start where many of these programs began. Our first town sits in South Australia. It's called Quorn. Quorn sits at the edge of the Flinders Ranges, surrounded by rugged hills, wide skies, and silence. For decades, it was a railway town. Busy, important. Then the railways moved on, and like many towns, Quorn shrank. But instead of accepting decline, the town made a decision. They began releasing land at extremely low cost, in some cases effectively free, with one condition. You had to build, not speculate, not flip. Live there. The idea was simple. Bring people back. Bring families. Bring life. And it worked. Quorn today isn't booming, and that's the point. It's stable. Schools stayed open. Services survived. Community returned. This is the pattern you'll see again and again. These towns don't want investors. They want residents. Next, we move north, but not to the coast, into Queensland, to a place most people have never heard of, Julia Creek. Julia Creek sits deep inland, hours from major cities. 4 years, population decline threatened everything, from the hospital to the school. So the town tried something bold. They offered relocation incentives, cash bonuses for skilled workers, support with housing, help settling in. In some cases, people were offered thousands simply to move and stay. The goal wasn't luxury, it was sustainability. Doctors, teachers, trades, people who would put roots down. Julia Creek understood something many cities forgot. If people can't afford to live somewhere, they won't. Our third town takes us to Western Australia, but again, not the coast. We head inland to Coorow. Coorow is a small agricultural town, surrounded by farmland and open space. Like many wheatbelt towns, it faced declining population and empty blocks. So the council made land available at extremely low prices, sometimes bundled with building incentives. The deal wasn't flashy, but it was realistic. Affordable land, low rates, support from council. And suddenly, young families started looking twice. Coorow wasn't offering excitement, it was offering a chance. Now we head south, to Tasmania, to a town most people skip entirely, Queenstown. Queenstown sits surrounded by mountains, rain, and history. Once booming from mining, then left behind. But over the years, something interesting happened. Housing prices dropped, land became available, and councils began supporting new residents through grants, business help, and development support. Queenstown didn't advertise free land loudly. Instead, it made entry possible. And for people priced out of the mainland, that was enough. At this point, something becomes clear. These towns aren't offering incentives because life there is bad. They're offering incentives because life there is sustainable, but underpopulated. Empty houses don't help a town. Empty schools don't help a town. Empty streets don't help a town. People do. And that's why these programs exist. And what makes these towns different isn't just the incentives. It's the mindset behind them. These places understand something that big cities don't have to think about yet. A town doesn't survive on buildings. It survives on people. So instead of asking, How do we make more money? They ask, how do we get people to stay? Our next town sits in New South Wales, far from the coast and far from the capital cities. It's called Walgett. Walgett has faced challenges over the years: population decline, job losses, and aging infrastructure. But instead of giving up, the town focused on attracting workers, healthcare staff, teachers, trades. Incentives came in many forms: relocation assistance, housing support, council-backed programs designed to reduce the cost of settling in. The goal was simple: if people could afford to live here, they would. And many did. Walgett proves something important. Incentives aren't about giving things away. They're about lowering the barrier to entry. Now we head north again, but this time to Queensland's outback, to a place most Australians couldn't point to on a map: Cloncurry. Cloncurry has always been a working town. Mining, agriculture, logistics, but distance made recruitment difficult. So the town adapted. Relocation packages, housing assistance, support for essential workers. In some cases, people were offered cash bonuses, subsidised accommodation, or council support, simply to move and commit to staying. Cloncurry didn't want short-term residents. It wanted community members, people who would put kids in schools, shop locally, join sporting clubs. That's what keeps a town alive. Our next stop takes us to Victoria, but not to the places you hear about on the news. We go to Quorn. Quorn sits near rivers and lakes, surrounded by farmland. For years, population decline threatened local services, so land was released at extremely low cost. Council rates were adjusted. Support was offered for new builds. Nothing flashy, just practical help. Quorn's approach was simple: make it possible for people to start again. And for some, that opportunity mattered more than location. Then there's Whyalla in South Australia. Whyalla is larger than most towns on this list, but it still belongs here, because for years, it quietly offered some of the most affordable land and housing in the country. When industry slowed, the town focused on diversification, renewable energy, manufacturing, trades, and with that came incentives, support for workers, land releases, council programs aimed at attracting long-term residents. Whyalla didn't want hype, it wanted stability. At this point, it's important to say something clearly. These towns aren't offering incentives because life there is unbearable. They're offering incentives because the economics of modern Australia don't favour small populations. Schools need students, hospitals need staff, businesses need customers, and empty land doesn't help anyone. So councils do what makes sense. They trade short-term costs for long-term survival, and in doing so, they create opportunities that simply don't exist in cities anymore. There are more places like this across Australia, towns quietly releasing land, offering help, reducing costs, but they don't advertise loudly, because the goal isn't to attract everyone. It's to attract the right people. People who understand that moving somewhere quieter isn't about sacrifice. It's about trade-offs. You trade nightlife for stars, traffic for time, noise for space, and for some people, especially those finished with chasing growth, that trade is worth it. But there's one thing you must understand. These opportunities don't last forever. Once a town stabilizes, incentives disappear, land prices rise, entry becomes harder, and suddenly, what was once ignored becomes discovered. That's how it's always worked. Australia has always moved in waves. Boom, decline, rebirth. The towns offering free land or incentives today, often the ones quietly preparing for their next chapter. They don't need saving. They need people. People willing to take a different path. People who see value where others see distance. So if you hear about a town offering land, support, or incentives, don't assume something is wrong with it. Often, it means something is right. It means the town understands its future depends on welcoming new life. And in a country as big as Australia, there is still room to begin again, quietly, affordably, and on your own terms.